Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by thegaminggang.com, which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. Yes, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of the Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. If this is your first time visiting, let me point out I spent about the first half of the show usually sharing the latest in tabletop gaming news. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little PC gaming like we will tonight. And the rest of the show, I'll be sharing a first look at a board game or page through a role-playing game or miniature rules set. And tonight is no different because I will be taking a first look and paging through Jackals, which is a Bronze Age role-playing game from Osprey Games. So that will be a little bit later on. If you're watching live, kick back, relax. We're going to talk a little bit of gaming news. If you are watching after the fact, there should be some timestamps. So if you don't want to catch the news, you can jump right ahead and take a peek at Jackals. Of course, if you are a longtime viewer, thank you very much for tuning in once again to kick back with this knucklehead as I pontificate into the ethers, into the interwebs. Always appreciate anybody stopping by to hang out, whether it's live or Memorex. Of course, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch airs live, Monday through Thursdays right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of In Magnificent Style from Worthington Publishing. This is designed by my good buddy Herman Luttman. This is the deluxe edition of In Magnificent Style. And of course, it is Pickett's Charge during the Battle of Gettysburg. I will have this up. I think some of you out there will be a little surprised by what I have to say about In Magnificent Style. And that, of course, will be review number 751 from the Gaming Gang. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com, where you'll find about half of the aforementioned 751 reviews. And, of course, the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And this is a live stream, so that means chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question or comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. So tonight is Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. This is live stream 653. And first out the gate saying hello in chat is Gary Clarkson. We've got the Motor City Madman with us, as well as a Gray Day joining us in chat. Disavowed 92 is also in the house. So we got chat off and running already. So I got a big show tonight. We're going to jump on into the news. And then just before I pop in to take a peek at Jackals, I've got a couple of things that I will chat a little bit about. Something that kind of miffed me earlier today. And you may have seen me post something on Twitter about it. And something that's, I've had a couple of people email me questions about looking for my opinion, which I got to be honest, what I'm going to talk about with that, I don't know a whole lot about, but I'll tell you what I think based on what I do know. So, all right. Anyway, good to see everybody hanging out. The Madman happens to be one of our chat moderators, so stay in line, people. Stay in line. Don't make the Madman drop that banhammer. It's not pretty. I'm kidding. Very rarely do we ever have anybody go off on a tangent that we have to boot them. So once in a while we do. But anyway, in fact, somebody had commented on last week's Thursday stream, which I took a look at the latest bestiary for Pathfinder 2E. And somebody had started talking about like Paizo being woke. And they had commented, well, you know what they were trying to tell you is, and I'm like, I don't know what they were trying to tell you, because I kind of shut it down pretty quick because I don't want to go in there. I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, people talking about social justice warriors, of which I happen to be one. Not to that extent, but I sort of am. I don't want to get political. I don't want to get into that kind of stuff. And it's like, so Paizo had a monster that they kind of based on Donald Trump. Whatever. I'm not going to freak out about it. It's a flipping game, for crying out loud, people. It's like, geez. Anyway, Andrew Jones is asking any thoughts to share about Mike Hobbs passing away. I talked about that last night. I mentioned that. I didn't know Mike. I don't really know much about Mike. I think across the pond, I think Mike Hobbs, a lot more people knew about Mike Hobbs than maybe here in the U.S. I know Mike was pretty big as far as miniatures and war games and things like that. So I had always heard he was a nice guy. I heard he was a very, very nice guy. And that was kind of the extent. But yeah, that is, it's sad to hear anybody passing away. And as far as I understand, I think it was like that. It was something sudden. It was not, from what I understand, you never know. I have no clue. I can only tell you what I had stumbled across myself. So, and it's the internet. Who can you trust on the internet, right? All right. Clint Gibson has joined us in chat as well. Anyway, I want to say, Andrew, is this your first time swinging by in chat? I apologize if it isn't. I'm not always that great on names, but I think this might be your first time popping in, or one of your first times popping in. So make yourself at home. In fact, anybody out there, if this is your first time joining me either live or after the fact, kick back, put your feet up, relax. We are not engaging in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. We're just talking about games. So let's talk about some games, because now arriving from Z-Man Games is Cryo. Here's the deets. A mission gone wrong. Tensions continue to mount aboard your colony ship as the days dragged on. An anonymous act of sabotage has sent the ship plummeting to the surface of a frozen, uncharted planet. Damaged beyond repair, the scattered remains will do little to protect you from the brutal cold. In the engine-building worker placement game Cryo, leaders of separate hostile factions compete to survive and claim control over the underground caverns on a remote, icy planet. You need to act quickly and strategically to further avoid sabotage from other factions. Send drones out from your engineering platform to scavenge resources and save your crew still in cryostasis. Gather different materials to upgrade and customize your platform, fine-tuning new actions to suit your individual strategy. Utilize multi-use cards to your advantage and claim the underground caverns for your faction to survive. Though unplanned, a new chapter for humanity has begun. Scavenge, build, explore, and lead your faction to victory within this frozen world before the sun sets. Cryo is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays around 60 to 90 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $59.99. Gotta say, this looks rather interesting. Sort of has a bit of a, I want to say, kind of a Modius art style to it, a little bit. And I gotta say, Z-Man Games lately, more recently, hasn't really focused on a lot of take that sort of games, which I like. I like competition in my games. I don't necessarily need to have every game where I can completely blow up somebody else's plans, but I do like to actually have my actions affect other people's actions in the game. That's just how I am. That is an American style gaming sort of mechanic, or I should say, let's say theme, not really a mechanic, but this looks kind of interesting. It really does. A Grade A says that they've heard good things about this game, and it looks rather Euro-y. So Andrew Jones says this may be the second time popping through. Cool. Well, glad to have you back again. I'm glad we didn't scare you off from the first time you popped by. Anyway, Grade A says, if people knew who ran Paizo, they would know how silly it is, thinking, no doubt, I think Grade A is insinuating the wokeness of Paizo and Pathfinder. KC Board Gamers is with us in chat as well. So the Madman's asking, is anybody else experiencing the Wheel of Death? All right, I am taking a peek here. We are showing 0 drop frames, so far so good. And yeah, we look like we're okay. So it might be a YouTube thing. Remember, every once in a while, there's an issue with YouTube. So, especially with streams. Anyway, so Sarah D is here. Hiya, Sarah. Thanks for saying howdy. Sarah says it's all good on her end. Well, it's that whole, the Illinois internet is so good compared to that, Michigan internet. Oh, I'm kidding. I wouldn't know. Our internet's all right. Nothing fantastic, I'll tell you that much. All right, so anyway, so that's Cryo. Looks kind of cool, kind of interesting. And yes, I very rarely talk about Z-Man Games, but this caught my eye, so I thought I'd share it. So it's Thursday, so that means we've got free PC gaming goodness over at the Epic Game Store. This week brings us a twofer. First up is Alien Isolation from Creative Assembly and SEGA. And that was actually kind of close to the way that they do that. Eddie T's hanging out too. Good to see you, Eddie T. Kind of piggybacking on Sarah's chat there. I see how that works. Discover the true meaning of fear in Alien Isolation, a survival horror set in an atmosphere of constant dread and mortal danger. 15 years after the events of Alien, Ellen Ripley's daughter Amanda enters a desperate battle for survival on a mission to unravel the truth behind her mother's disappearance. As Amanda, you'll navigate through an increasingly volatile world as you find yourself confronted on all sides by panicked, desperate population and an unpredictable, ruthless alien. Didn't read right? Oh, well, okay, moving right along. Underpowered and underprepared, you must scavenge resources, improvise solutions, and use your wits, not just to succeed in your mission, but simply to stay alive. Overcome an ever-present deadly threat. Experience persistent fear. Yeah, okay, right. As a truly dynamic and reactive alien uses its senses to hunt you down and respond to your every move. Improvise to survive, hack systems, scavenge for vital resources, and craft items to deal with each situation. Will you evade your enemies, distract them, or face them head on? Explore a world of mystery and betrayal. Immerse yourself in the detailed setting of Sevastopol, a decommissioned trading station. What, in the Soviet Union? I got a kick out of that's the name of the trading station. Sevastopol. It is on the fringes of space. Encounter a rich cast of inhabitants in a world scarred by fear and mistrust. When she left Earth, Ellen Ripley promised her daughter Amanda she would return home for her 11th birthday. Amanda never saw her again. 15 years later, Amanda, now a Weyland-Yutani employee, hears that the flight recorder of her mother's ship, the Nostromo, has been recovered at the remote trading station Sevastopol. The temptation for her to finally understand what happened is too much to resist. When the crew arrives at the station, they find something is desperately wrong. It all seems to be connected to an unknown menace stalking and killing deep in the shadows. In order to uncover the truth about her mother, Amanda is forced to confront the same terrifying thing that separated them. Bum, bum, bum. All right, so there is a launch video that I am going to share. Now, this game has been out for a while. This, I think, came out in 2017-ish. But it is an excellent game. I have it. I have played it. So let's take a peek at the vid.
Peggy 18.
Ooh, scary kid, scary. And it's in 3D. All right. So Keldon has joined us in chat. Welcome. 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 Thanks for joining us once again. So Disavow 92 says, yeah, it's a great video game. This is actually a really good game. I enjoyed it. There are some like DLCs available for it as well. It looks as if the free edition over at Epic Games is just the standard edition game. That's about it. So, kind of cool. But wait, there's more, because Alien Isolation has been available for free at the Epic Games Store before. We've got something that has not been on the store before at all, and it is Hand of Fate 2 from Defiant Development. Hand of Fate 2 is a dungeon crawler set in a world of dark fantasy. Master a living board game where every stage of the adventure is drawn from a deck of legendary encounters chosen by you. Choose wisely. Your opponent, the enigmatic dealer, will pull no punches as he shapes you into the instrument of his revenge. The table has changed, but the stakes remain the same: life or death. This game features a world transformed. 100 years have passed since the dealer was usurped, and the game of life and death gained a new master. There's 22 exciting new challenges that will push your deck building skills to the limit. Hunt fiendish assassins, reunite star-crossed lovers, or build up a fortress to withstand a raider assault. Enlist the aid of all new companion characters, team up with them in battle, or have them bend the rules of the board game in your favor. There's hundreds of new encounters, artifacts, and items to earn and upgrade. It's enhanced action RPG combat against foes with quick dual-wielding daggers, or you can brutalize them with heavy two-handed hammers. Build up your combo meter to unleash powerful special attacks. You can engage new foes united by all new card suits. Cross swords with disciplined Imperial soldiers. Purge corrupted mutants and fend off Northern Raiders. Ooh, scary Northern Raiders. All right, so let's take a peek, because there is a launch video for Hand of Fate 2 that we can take a look at.
I have returned, and together we will craft you into the tool of my vengeance.
That was weird. I couldn't swap out after that video. I'm like, come on, come on, come on. It's like, what the hell's going on? Alrighty. Actually, this looks like a pretty good game too. And I did take a look at some of the reviews, and they say it is actually a very cool game. So that is Hand of Fate 2. So you can score both Alien Isolation and Hand of Fate 2 absolutely free through 10 a.m. Central Time, April 29th, which is next Thursday. And I got to say, next Thursday's game doesn't look all that exciting. It's one of those idle games. It's a D&D game, and I guess it's got like some extra DLC to it or something, but these are two goodies, so don't miss out. Be sure to pop on over and get them for free. All right, so yesterday I was talking about the Dungeon Crawl Classics Bundle of Holding that's currently going on. There is a second Goodman Games Bundle of Holding offering and it is Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar. Here's the dope. Adventurer. This Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar bundle presents the, you guessed it, Lankmar campaign setting for the Dungeon Crawl Classics tabletop fantasy role-playing game from Goodman Games. Authorized by the estate of master fantasist Fritz Leiber and funded in a March 2017 Kickstarter campaign, Goodman's Lankmar line expands the DCC RPG rules to match the tone of Leiber's classic sword and sorcery stories. Explore the city of 7,000 smokes, Lankmar, and follow in the footsteps of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser across the fantastic realm of Naywan. For just $14.95, you get both titles in this offer's starter collection with a retail value of $47 as DRM-free PDFs, including the massive DCC Lankmar. Ooh, I said Lankmar. It's Lankmar, Jeff. Damn it. Next, I'll start saying Fritz Leiber, which is not correct either. Anyway, you could get the Lankmar box set, plus the free DCC Quick Start rules and the introductory adventure Gang Lords of Lankmar, and that is for $14.95. If you pay more than the offer's threshold price of $25.97, you'll level up and also get this offer's entire bonus collection with 8 supplements and modules worth an additional $56, including the Land of 8 Cities, a dozen Lankmar locations, the Fence's Fortuous Folly, Acting Up in Lankmar, Grave Matters, Rats of Ilthmar, Violence for Vitashal, and Blasphemy and Larceny in Lankmar. You can score these savings through May 10th. 10% of your payment after payment gateway fees for this offer will be donated to the charity designated by Dungeon Crawl Classics designer Joseph Goodman, the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. Nice. Very cool. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday. This had come up, and I forget who it was in chat who was kind of curious what kind of job Goodman Games has done porting over Leiber's style and, you know, the world of Naywan to Dungeon Crawl Classics. I don't honestly know. I have no idea. I can tell you that I did review the Savage Worlds book that came out, the first one that they released, which was for their Fafhrd and Grey Mouser Lankmar, and I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was great. Funny thing is, I thought the author didn't really have a great grasp of the whole Fritz Leiber sword and sorcery style. I thought it was very dry, where Fritz Leiber's, at least the Fafhrd and Grey Mouser stories, have a bit of humor to them. There's not necessarily tongue-in-cheek, but there is a bit of humor that I thought was really lacking in the Savage Worlds edition, which I thought was very funny. That it was like at the same time you had the DCC Lankmar coming out, as well as the Savage Worlds. So I don't know. I have no idea. All right, my final news piece. There is a new supplement that's arrived for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Here's the latest on Solasara's Spells of Unrivaled Utility. When Teclis decided to instruct the humans of the Empire in the use of magic, there was much grumbling. Some thought it was madness, while others saw the grim necessity of it. However, the high elf mage Solasara saw it as an excellent opportunity to educate the Empire's unfortunates in the ways of their betters. To this end, she scribed a short grimoire of useful magics taken from each of the 8 lores taught at the college's Techlist founded and had it translated into Reichsspiel. Solasara chose spells that she felt were safe, useful, and would have as little use on the battlefield as possible. The Wizards of the Empire have been abusing these magics ever since. Solasara's Spells of Unrivaled Utility is a fascinating collection of 25 new spells, 3 each for the 8 lures of color magic practiced in the Empire. These spells are designed to provide utility outside of combat, but no doubt canny wizards will put them to use in ways their creator could not have envisioned. This PDF also includes each spell as a printable spell card, so you can easily add them to the magic already found in the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Rulebook. Solasara's Spells of Unrivaled Utility is the perfect addition to any player wizard's arsenal, but can also be of use to GMs in creating NPC adversaries with unexpected magical abilities. The 27-page PDF is available right now at DriveThruRPG for $2.99. Do want to mention that the page count on DriveThruRPG is incorrect. They say that this is an 11-page PDF. It is not. It is a 27-page PDF, which is not unusual. For some reason, DriveThruRPG does not get the page counts correct. I mean, it's more often than not, but every once in a while, they'll have a number that's like, wait, what is, huh? I'm looking at the PDF right now. It's like, it's got this number of them. So KC Board Gamers had to run. Thanks for swinging by, KC. All right. Anyway, so Andrew says the Dungeon Crawl Classics Lankmar is great fun to play, and it's really easy to get into the sword and sorcery style. I had a feeling it would be, although here's a little note that I was made aware of not too long ago. I guess when Dungeon Crawl Classics came out, and I'm talking about the role-playing game, not because Dungeon Crawl Classics, the adventure line, had been around for a long time. In fact, there were 3.5 adventures for D&D. There were 4.0. And then it's around, I think it's around 66, 65, 66 in the numbering that it moves to the actual DCC rule set. So I had heard, now I don't know if this is true, but I had heard that Joseph Goodman had actually not read Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and Grey Mouser stories when he wrote the rules. It's like, really? Seriously? It's like, remember if you watch the show all the time, I was talking about listening to old episodes of Spellburn because I'm going to review Dungeon Crawl Classics. I'm still waiting for it to arrive. In fact, I reached out to Goodman Games to ask, don't you like email a tracking number or anything like that? I'm like, what's going on? And we've been kind of going, Jess, who is their customer service person, we've been kind of exchanging emails. So I should find out. She said I needed to create an account, which I didn't realize. I mean, I placed the order and paid through PayPal without having an account and got the download links for the PDFs. Anyway, so remember I was talking about, I listened to this episode and they had a special guest and I wasn't going to name names or anything like that. And they were like, like, oh, I've been role playing since 81 and blah, blah, blah. Speaking of Lankmar and Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. So number one, he mispronounced Fafhrd's name, which I can understand. Hey, there's, whatever, it's a book, right? You pronounce the name however you want. But the thing I really couldn't stand is that he mispronounced Fritz Leiber's name. And the other people on the show were pronouncing his name correctly. And this guy who, remember, I was telling you, he was all like, oh, well, I know everything. Was kept calling him Fritz Leiber, and also talked about how he did not like reading the Appendix N books. In fact, he had probably not read much. He preferred TV shows and movies. It's Tell you what, if you were playing in 1981, you didn't have too many TV shows and movies to draw from. You needed to read the Appendix N stuff. All right. So a grade A points out that Goodman Games went to the Fritz Leiber archives in Texas for the box sets. I had heard that they also, of course, obviously received permission from the Leiber family to, and this has actually been, I believe, endorsed by his family as well. I don't know if I can say the same for Savage Worlds. So the Madman said that they had picked up the Lankmar book for Savage Worlds, but hadn't dug into it much. I thought it was all right, but it was, to me, it just was very cut and dry. And if you've read all of the stories, then you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll be like, okay, all right. It's very technical, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, it's a source book for a role-playing game, but it's just the vibe of the Fofford and Gray Mouser stories just felt lost in it. I'm not saying it was bad. I was just sort of like, huh. In fact, if I remember right, I think I even mentioned that about it in the review. I'm positive I did. All right. Anyway, so as I mentioned, we are going to take a look at Jackals, which is a Bronze Age role-playing game from Osprey Games, in just a moment. So a great ace talking about Tecumel. I don't know I don't know if that's how it's pronounced or not. Which, isn't that Mars Barker? Isn't that who that is? They're mentioning that. That's actually a pretty extensive fantasy setting as well. So Flaming Herons paged in. So Grady's wondering why we haven't seen any fancy Tecumel box sets or books that are not crazy niche. I don't know. I think it has to do with who owns the rights to that game, because it's bounced around a lot. And of course, Mr. Barker has passed. I think it was doctor, wasn't it? Wasn't he a doctor? He has passed on. So I don't know. It might be in kind of a limbo, but I have always heard pretty good things about that setting. That was very, very interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about another famous role-playing game setting, Game World, in just a bit too. So there were two things I wanted to mention. So you may have been wondering, hey, Jeff, during the news tonight, how come you didn't say anything about that 5e Sirens Battle of the Bards that just launched on Kickstarter today, seeing I did an interview with Satine Phoenix as well as Jameson Stone, which I put up yesterday. Well, this is the thing that miffed me today. So anyway, the Kickstarter went live. I go take a look at it, and now I know that Satine and Jameson had done interviews with other outlets as well. I'm sure they did interviews with a lot of them. Not a single one of them is included on their Kickstarter page. None. So I was sort of like, well, what the hell? Because this is the same kind of thing when I interviewed Satine and I forget the guy's name. When they were trying to kickstart, well, they successfully kickstarted. When they were kickstarting that Destination Fantastic show, I did an interview with Satine, and I mentioned it in this interview. And it was the same thing. Absolutely no promotion from their end. It was, so to me, sharing something on your social media channels is not liking and retweeting a tweet. That is not sharing it on your social media channels. It's just not. So I sent an email. It was Professor Barker. Thank you, Andrew. Anyway, so I had sent an email to the assistant or the PR rep or whatever, and said, "Hey, what's up with this? It's like this is very one-way street here, where it's like my outlet is providing promotion for this Kickstarter project, and you can't even be bothered to share the interviews on the Kickstarter page. And this Kickstarter page goes on and on and on and on and on and on with all this different stuff. Now, I'm not knocking the Kickstarter. I am not knocking the project. It does seem pretty damn interesting. But all these people have been, spending time doing interviews with them, and of course doing, making edits and stuff like that. And then it's like, you're not even going to share it. So I sent an email. I said, I'm taking this down. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to take the interview down because once again, I've said it before. I've said it time and time before. I'm not here to be a one-way street. I'm a firm believer. Hey, you know what? How about a little promotion for me too? So Grade A says, Satine is a professional promoter. It's kind of what she does all the time. Once again, it's not her per se. It's the person who's putting this together. So anyway, so I get it. I tweeted, I also shared on Twitter. And I said, so I'm taking this interview down. I said, because I've said before, I'm not going to allow publishers to use me like a one-way street. So I get an email. This is actually what really was like, what? So I get an email from the rep. Doesn't even respond to what I had emailed about, hey, I'm taking this interview down. I get an email saying, please change any of your links to Sirens Battle of the Bards to this because it's got a tracking number so we can track the reach of your outlet. I'm like, what? I'm like, I understand what it is because I do it all the time when people advertise their Kickstarters or games or whatever. There's usually a tracking code built into the link so they can see how much traffic the gaming gang sends them for their advertising, right? Easy peasy. Thing is, these people aren't advertising with me. So why would I do that? So it's like, don't even respond to the email I sent you like 3 hours before. So I was like, okie dokie. I was like, all right. So anyway, so after I did the tweet, a few hours later, I got an email back from the rep saying, oh, well, we're putting together a list of all the different outlets and they're all going to be on the Kickstarter page and, just bear with us. Some of them weren't done yet. I'm like, but what does that have to do with me? I didn't. I just said, fine, I'll put I'll put the interview back up, but that's it. That's all the promotion I'm doing. I'm not doing a news piece about it or anything else because I just think. So Grade A's asking, is this Satine's project or was she hired to promote it? It is her project. It is her and her husband. It is his game studio that it's coming through. So yes, it is her project. She is one of the big creators behind it. Once again, I'm not necessarily faulting them. I'm faulting the person who's putting all this together because I guarantee she's not the one who sits there and crafts the Kickstarter page and things like that. So anyway, so that's why you're not going to see any promotion of it. So, yes, so Flaming Huron has pointed out just what I had said. So some people are getting some lagging from YouTube. Once again, I'm not showing anything going on our end. Our end here should be okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. Just mentioning because I'm sure people were like, hey, so that Kickstarter started today. Jeff did that 45-minute interview that he put up yesterday. How come he's not talking about that Kickstarter? Well, now you know. So, and I know some people out there be like, oh, well, you're taking this too seriously, Jeff. It's like, yeah, but you know what? The thing is, there are a lot of people who look at trying to like I've said it before. It's like, wow, it's like a privilege to cover their game. It's like it's not. It's really not. So anyway, so that's that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I was curious what people would think of me doing an entire week of Call of Cthulhu releases because I did get that package from Chaosium that includes Reign of Terror, the 2 volumes of Horror on the Orient Express, as well as Does Love Forgive? And I was thinking, well, as opposed to just doing like Thursdays, just like, we did a couple of miniature rule sets this week. If you would rather see me do an entire week of Call of Cthulhu stuff, or would you rather that I just, do the usual 1 or 2 RPG releases during the week? Let me know in the comments, because this way those out there who are not watching live can chime in as well. So anyway, moving right along, we are going to be taking a look at Jackals, which is from Osprey Games, in just a moment. If you're watching live, we'll be taking a peek at it in a second. If you are watching after the stream, usually about 12 hours after the stream ends, then you will get a commercial. Just hang with it. We will be diving on in. Flaming Heron's asking, Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu? Yes, it is. It is all. It would all be Chaosium, unless, because I was thinking maybe, because the Horror on the Orient Express are pretty big volumes. I thought I'd split it up. But I also have a third-party Call of Cthulhu adventure called The Dare, which I could be covering as well. So Flaming Heron's like, yeah, either way's cool. Gary's like, yeah, that'd be cool. All right, so let's jump on in, because Jackals is from Osprey Games. It is written by John Matthew DeFogey, with artwork provided by John McCambridge and Randy Musso. This 272-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $35. You can grab the PDF at DriveThruRPG for $24.50. Now, I have mentioned DriveThruRPG a couple of times tonight. Keep in mind, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, are affiliated with the One Bookshelf site. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners, and that way, if you happen to make a purchase over there, I get a little portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do help keep thegaminggang.com around. Swing on over to the other camera, because here we have Jackals. I got to say, I have not taken a peek at this yet. So I mention this all the time when I do an unboxing or a first look. This is all going to be new to me, as well as many of you out there as well. So let's take a look at the back. It says Jackals is a role-playing game of Bronze Age sword and sorcery set in the land of Zaharitz, known as the Land of Risings. Inspired by the myths, cultures, and history of the ancient Near East, and by such texts as the Iliad, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and the Old Testament, the Zaharitz is rife with monstrous creatures, cruel beast folk, and the ruins of the ancient civilizations which came before. Play as Jackals, mighty warriors and cunning ritualists, welcomed and distrusted in equal measure by the people of the land, and discover the secrets of the past, stand against the forces of chaos, and make your mark upon history. Okay, so we're going to dive on in here. I will probably skip past a few pages. I am staying picture in picture here up in the corner, although I'm not really blocking much off from the page. But I'll probably skip a few things, keep the pirates at bay. So here is the Harrods. It's kind of a cool map. Since this is from Osprey, we do know that we should see some pretty cool artwork, some pretty good artwork. Kind of curious what the action resolution mechanic's going to be. That's pretty cool. Like that. So we've got welcome to Jackals, role-playing game set in the ancient Near East-inspired fantasy setting of Calypsis. All right, well, that's different. Because weren't we talking about something else a minute ago? Jackals and Calypsis draw their inspiration from our own history as well as the epic poems and books of old. All right. And in Jackals, you take on the role of jackals, those who leave the safety of their communities and explore the wilds of the world, the scavengers of the dead ruins of lost times. As a jackal, your character has the potential to become a hero of legend like Gilgamesh, Achilles, or Samson. Just don't cut your hair. Says, however, jackals do not start on par with these figures. They must earn their legendary status and skill by testing themselves against the world. Got to point out, the print's kind of small. Print is a little small. I mean, not terribly so, but a little smaller than I'm used to for a role-playing game book. But then again, this hardcover is a little smaller. This is not an 8.5 by 11 book. So talking about what is Calypsis, we got the languages. Get a cultural overview. So we're going to have the various different kind of cultures here for the jackals. So we have children of the Bronze Age, or well, actually children of bronze. Talks about some of their virtues. Typical jackals who come from this culture. So the War Road Wanderer, the Seeker of Knowledge, the Called. Talks about their faith as well, magical traditions, appearance, and some names. Nice. So we have the peoples of the South. So we've got same kind of breakdown as well there. Typical jackals are outcasts, followers of the 6 and the 8, recruiters, traders, and spies. We have the colonists from the West. Typical characters here are colonists, Lycosian, and warriors. Then we have, looks like, desert clansmen and children of giants. So they tend to make glory questers, traders, and Alcatar. Looks like they're almost like a beast trainer or something like that. Hey, Kevin R. Smith's popped into chat. Good to see you, Kevin. So here we have character creation. Let's take a look at what we've got here. So we've got a concept, choose your culture, ritualist, decide whether your jackal is a ritualist. I assume that's a sorcerer. Generate attributes, generate skills, choose traits, character questions. It says answer the character questionnaire for extra advancements and select your equipment. So you come up with the concept, choosing your culture. Looks like we're percentile based because I see we're looking at percentiles. So like skill bonuses like melee plus 5%, dodge plus 10%. So I'm kind of curious if this might end up kind of along the lines of basic role playing from Chaosium, which actually brings me to, remember I had mentioned a little bit ago how I was going to talk about another really well-known fantasy role-playing game setting. Of course, taking a look at this, you're automatically probably going to think of RuneQuest and Glorantha. Greg Stafford's just amazing Bronze Age setting. I would think, and I'm not going to go off on a big tangent, but I would think if you like the rule system from this, you could probably plug Glorantha in pretty easily and vice versa. So here we have up to 30 for the melee damage bonus. So it's strength. So I would take a guess your percentiles are going to be fairly low. So Omen Owls joined us. Good to see you. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. So we've got derived abilities right here. So here we've got this table. So I don't know. That's kind of, are you rolling up the 3d6 and then turning that into percentile? Or are your skills just percentile and your attributes are still 3d6? I don't know. Here it says you can't raise a skill higher than 75% during character creation. So then we get a bunch of different skills here. A few pages of that. Then we have traits. So we've got a lot of different traits depending on your culture. Then we got character questions, selecting your equipment. We've got some equipment as well as currency. That's kind of cool. The clash system. Jackals relies on a simple D100 mechanic. Whenever the outcome of a task is called into question, you roll a D100 versus your character's skill. If you roll equal to or lower than your skill value, you succeed. If you roll higher, you fail. I mean, essentially, that's BRPG. It says in Jackals, when you roll a 91 to 100, it's always a failure. Wow. So you always have a chance, a 10% chance of failing. Interesting. Always, no matter how skilled you are. So that's kind of interesting. So talking about opposed rolls, one roll per scene. There may be times when a Jackal rolls exceptionally well or exceptionally poorly. They or the lore master, who must be the GM, may be tempted to call for a reroll. What? We don't do that. Unless that's a mechanic built in where they're spending like bennies and stuff like that. Let's see. It says, however, the one roll rule states that Jackals should only make one roll for a particular skill per scene. That's cool. I like that. So we got criticals and fumbles. Combat, the flow of combat. I'm kind of curious as far as the combat goes, seeing that this is, a Bronze Age setting. I would hope they'd have a nice, like, kind of ebb and flow to the combat, to the melee, as opposed to just, because let's be honest, like 5e, nothing real exciting going on in just combat, right? It's just, okay, I'm rolling my D20. Oh, I hit. Let me roll my damage. And of course, the dungeon master or the player, hopefully, is kind of narrating what's going on. But let's be honest. 5e combat's not exactly the most exciting around. Of course, when you throw in magic and stuff like that, sure, it's a bit different. So we have rights. So here we go when we get to the ritualists, who are kind of our sorcerers in this, our wizards. So looks like magic might be fairly rare and corrupting, which I like. That really is a very sword and sorcery vibe. And it doesn't necessarily make it a low magic setting when it's, when it's kind of hidden, or it's an obscure knowledge, and it's pretty bad for you to be indulging in magic like that. I like that because that really does buy into not only the Conan the Barbarian stories, but it also kind of boils, kind of falls into some of the Jack Vance stories, of course, obviously enough, Fritz Leiber. So I definitely like that. Of course, even Michael Moorcock. Definitely very cool. So these are some rituals. So these look like these are kind of different spells. But it looks as if you're creating things. So Andrew says that they played Jackals with the author online, and it was a great session. So Newport, author of Open Quest, which I got to be honest, I'm not familiar with, really likes the changes made to the rules set. Andrew says this just arrived last week, and they haven't had a chance to read it. Interestingly enough, I think, if I remember correctly, now I got an email today from Benji, who is the new PR person over at Osprey, and they said that I think there's an online con this weekend. They're going to make some announcements about Jackals. But I believe, because remember I talked about this yesterday when I was talking about we're going to take a look at Jackals. I'm curious about the sort of support that this game is going to get, because Osprey has released some interesting role-playing games. Paleo Mythic, as an example, I talked about how I actually thought that was a damn good role-playing game book. Romance of the hell was it? Romance of the Something Kingdoms, didn't care much for. To me, it was just kind of a 5e knockoff. But this looks pretty cool as well. Of course, obviously, I haven't read it. But I believe that there is a supplement scheduled for September for this. And I think maybe even next month, I think they might have fast-tracked it, that there's going to be a campaign. So there you go. Andrew Jones just mentioned the campaign book is coming later this year. There's a third book commissioned too. So right, exactly. But for some reason I heard, now maybe it's only going to be in PDF that may release. Because I thought it, now I might be wrong, but I kind of had the feeling that they were fast tracking some of the especially that campaign, because I don't believe I had seen that on the Osprey Games website. I did see an indicator for the September supplement that they're going to add to it, but I didn't see the campaign. And when I went to pull the link for a news piece from Osprey, I saw that campaign release. So for some reason, I'm thinking it's May. Maybe that was in Benji's email. But I'm sure I'll have some news next week about what's cooking with this. Anyway, so now we're looking into, as I'm just paging through, babbling on about things I'm not so sure about. Yeah, that's just my style, right? Should I just be quiet, not say anything, just turn pages? No, that'd be boring. All right, so here we're seeing the setting. So we're getting some of the fluff, some of the background. All right, so here we get a section that's going to be lore master facing. So Andrew Jones says, Jackals, The Fall of Children of Bronze will be published on May 27th, according to the website. There you go. So I was correct. Like I said, we'll learn more about it. The new PR rep that Osprey's got seems really on the ball with things. I really appreciate that, because previously, and I'm not going to knock people who weren't there anymore, but it was very, very hit or miss with Osprey. Sometimes we'd get something, and other times we wouldn't. And it's sort of one of the aspects with Osprey Publishing is, of course, if you painted historical miniatures at any time in your life, you've got Osprey books because of the colored plates for uniforms. And one of the things that the previous PR person didn't seem to grasp was, not only does the Gaming Gang cover role-playing games and board games, we also have a very good wargaming audience as well, and that one of the aspects of the gaming gang that a lot of publishers really dig is that we cover a lot of different stuff, and we don't just preach to the choir. You know, this isn't like a 5e D&D website and channel, and that's all we ever talk about. So all we do is preach to the D&D choir. No, not at all. So I think Benji gets that. So, all right. So we've got some quick hits here for the game master as far as how they can run this. Got some random encounter tables here. Equipment modifications by culture. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Magic items and treasure. I am not a fan of generic magic items. I don't care what rule system it is. I could care less about what, I should say, I couldn't care less about what the setting is. Generic magic items blow. It's like, I like a setting where there's like, if you have a magic item, that's a big deal. And other people want that. They're going to try to get it from you. Love those kind of settings. And I also like magic items that are kind of like a dual-edged sword there, can do good for you, but it can also be a pain in your ass. So we've got establishing a home, like a home base. That's kind of cool. Retirement. All right, then we get a bestiary. Let's see. So are we going to get a lot of images here or what? So, well, there you go. We get the jackal, which is talking about the animal. Lions. Yeah, we don't need an image of lion. Wolves. The dead. There we go. Now we're going to get some images. All right, I spoke too soon. See, that's one of the aspects I like to see in a bestiary is if it's something that's different, if it's something, that you're not familiar with, I like having a picture. I like having a picture, or at least please give me a really good description of what it looks like so that I can describe it to my players. I am not a game master when I'm running any kind of fantasy games. And of course, if you follow the gaming gang, my role-playing game over the decades has been Call of Cthulhu, not necessarily fantasy role-playing games, but I do run them from time to time. I never just tell like the name of what it is. Oh yeah, there's some deep ones. No, never. Even if they've encountered them multiple times, I still describe what they're seeing, and it's like, oh, those things again? Or sometimes the players come up with their own names for them. Plus, I'm also a big proponent of monsters should be weird and different. They should be monstrous. So we get some adventures. So we've got 3 adventures, it says, to get you started. The Bronze Bell. The Lost Children, and The Wolf's Lair. And each of these, well, that looks a little more like dungeon crawly, even though it looks like there's only like 6 locations there. In the caves. And then what do we have? Character creation summary in that index here. Character sheets. Glossary and probably an index. Yep. There we go. 272 pages. So, of course, I am going to have a review of Jackals in the very near future. So, Kevin was asking if Fall of the Children of Bronze is a campaign book. Yeah, as far as Andrew just answered, yes, it is. As far as I understood, it is as well. And then I think if you look at the Osprey website, that there's also a book for September. So, so Andrew points out that the author has done a really good job with different nations and factions. Very nice. Very nice. Very cool. Like this looks like this is going to be a role-playing game that I like. So there is that. Of course, Jackals is from Osprey Games. It's available now. You can get the 272-page hardcover for an MSRP of $35. You can grab the PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $24.50. Got to be honest, as long as shipping wouldn't be crazy. As far as that deal goes, difference of $9.50, I'd be grabbing the hardcover. Yes, I would. One thing I have to mention, and I'm not calling out Osprey. In fact, this was something that I meant to talk about yesterday when we were looking at Polyversal from Colin's Epic War Games. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. Take it for what it is. If somebody buys a physical book, they should get the PDF free. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's a role-playing game, miniatures game, what have you. If they buy the physical book and the PDF is available, they should also get that PDF. Reason is it's an electronic file. It's, it's not, and I get it. If somebody's just buying the PDF, fine, that's cool. Charge them for the PDF. I'm not telling you to give it away for free. But it's a digital file. Including that with your physical purchase, to me, is just, it's good customer service. It's good customer relations. And the reason why I mentioned that is yesterday when we were taking a look at the book for Polyversal, I had mentioned that you could get the physical softcover book for, I want to, if I remember correctly, it was $39.99. You could get the PDF for $25, or you could get both, which I did not mention. It was something I said, oh yeah, I'm going to mention something about this at the end of the first look. And then I forgot. We were talking about something in chat. If you get the PDF and the print on demand, it's like $10 more than the print on demand. And to me, that's not right. If you're paying for the physical book, companies should give you the PDF because, once again, it's a digital file. It costs them nothing. They've already produced it to make this. I'm not talking about, I'm not trying to call out Osprey Games on this. This is not what I'm talking about. It just happens to be the book on hand that I can hold up and say a book. But yeah, I really think that. And whenever I see companies who do that, I'm like, hey, you know what? That's really cool. To me, that's very cool. Even Chaosium, with their releases, if you buy the PDF through them, I know, and it cuts me out of my little nickels, dimes, and quarters over at Drive-Thru RPG. But I know what they'll do is they'll actually take the price of a PDF and apply it to your physical copy. So, I mean, at least that's okay. Not as good as just getting the PDF for free. So Kevin says, yeah, they agree. They think that you should get a free PDF. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, the PDF for Jackals is more expensive than they thought it would be. That's an Osprey thing. Osprey PDFs tend to be, it's not the half price. What we normally will see, usually the going, thought process is that the PDF is half the price of a physical book, which personally, I think that's kind of stupid too, but I get it. I understand, but still, yes. So Osprey's PDFs tend to be higher priced, and it doesn't matter if you get them through the Osprey website or if you get them from Drive-Thru RPG, it's the same price, same exact price. So, all right. Flaming Heron says, I can't remember who it was that they got an email but it was from a company the other day. And the deal was if you bought the PDF, then you get a discount on the print on demand. Yeah. Yeah. You see that a lot. See that. A lot of times, like I said, I'll see companies where it's like a special, or it's at least marketed on their drive-through RPG page for that product, like a special, where it's like, okay, well, if you're getting the print on demand, the PDF is included. And they'll have like a little special extra like entry there, like, hey, we're doing this for a limited time. So that's cool to me too. I like that. So Kevin says, wouldn't be surprised if half of digital piracy is physical copy owners who don't want to pay twice to get digital access. I don't know. I know there's loads of digital piracy out there. Tons and tons of digital piracy. And I will let folks in on a secret. I'm not a pirate, don't worry. But what I normally will do, if I'm going to do like a page through and show something off, I know where the pirates are. I know where the pirates hang. There have been a few times that I've ratted them out. Because some publishers out there, they just don't pay attention. But I'll take a look to see, okay, is that actually, in the airwaves? And if it is, I'm not super concerned about like skipping over a bunch of pages or keeping my hand on books and stuff like that, because it's already out there, So, but I've mentioned it before, that one D&D book, people were screenshotting my page through. It's like, really? And then, of course, a pirate released that book fully scanned, and that came from a retailer. In fact, it is a retailer who was doing that, which I think is totally bizarre, but it is. So Flaming Heron says, yeah, Jeff's definitely not a pirate. He doesn't have an eye patch. Correct. So Andrew points out Osprey is part of a traditional publisher. It's Bloomsbury. So not Doonesbury, but Bloomsbury. So they're not really part of the gaming culture. Yes, I get that. Osprey Games is relatively new. Osprey Games launched, 4 years ago? If that, I don't think it's 5. So they are pretty recent. So yes, I get that. But they also know, like miniatures wise, they also know they've got a big audience as far as historical gamers. So Sarah says, I might have a peg leg. No, I do not. I do not have any peg legs. Kevin says they think Frog God Games gives you a free PDF with hard copies that are purchased on their site. I think you're correct. I think you're right with that. Only problem that you encounter is Frog God Games is just notoriously bad as far as I don't want to say play testing. Their editing really needs work. Because I hear from people all the time, and they ask, well, how come I don't do more like Frog God Games reviews and that? Now, they sent me Swords and Wizardry, which I thought was great. I think it's fantastic. But I have heard from quite a lot of people that the Frog God Games adventures are kind of a mess. So Kevin says, yes, they agree about the editing. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, they're fine. I mean, that's okay. So Frog God says, a Grade A says Frog God's in Polsbo. That's the issue. Because they're in Washington? That's why they're in Washington State. Damn you, Washington State. So's Wizards of the Coast. So's Paizo. In fact, they're not very far away from each other. So, all right. Well, that's it for this time out. Of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of In Magnificent Style, Pickett's Charge from Worthington Publishing, designed by my good pal Herman Lutman. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will be back on Monday, hopefully. So I am going to have everything set up ahead of time so that I can walk in and head down to the Duct Tape Studios and do the stream, because once again, we have a funeral for my uncle on Monday. Fingers crossed, I have a show. So stay tuned. I know, even if you're not a big Twitter fan, usually on Twitter, you know what's coming up on the show and things like that. Just so you know. And I really do hope we have a show on Monday, because I'm going to be unboxing and taking a first look at The Rat Catcher, which is from Platypus Industries. It's a solitaire game. This looks very, very cool. On Tuesday, I will be unboxing and taking a first look at Monster Expedition from Amigo Games. Then on Wednesday, it's going to be War Game Wednesday, French and Indian War from Worthington Publishing. Let's get rid of some of that glare there. And then Thursday, it's up to you. I can either take a first look at Reign of Terror for Call of Cthulhu from Chaosium Inc., or I can push this to the next week and do an entire week of Call of Cthulhu releases. Let me know in the comment section which you would prefer. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Thursday night / Friday morning / whatever day it happens to be you're watching this. And thank you, everybody who watched live. Always appreciate you taking some time out of your busy lives to hang out with this goofball. But I know other people don't have an opportunity to watch live. Thank you as well for tuning in after the fact, even if it's on Memorex. And of course, as I wrap up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope every one of you out there is being smart and staying safe. Oh, hey, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, by all means, if you haven't subscribed to the Gaming Gang channel yet, click right here. If you'd like to see the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, click right up there. And if you want to trust YouTube's algorithm to give you something to watch, click right there. Once again, thanks so much for watching, and everybody, please wear a mask.